anyway, well, I was right. I was right. I was watching a video last night that, remember once upon a time I said that 80% of women go for the upper 20% of men. And that means you got all these women complaining there's no men out there, but they are absolutely not willing to go out with a guy from the same area, the same social background, the same social status / standing, and the same income bracket type of thing. They're always looking for the hot ones or the rich ones, blah blah blah. Yeah, well, there's been a study done and it turns out I was basically right. Apparently 78% of women go for the top 20% of men. Of course, you don't need to know what that looks like on a graph. And let me tell you, it's not exactly a bell curve. The curve on that one sort of looks like Elvis's guts when he's sitting down, you know, in terms of ugly men to hot men versus their chances with girls. And, yeah. So it turns out I was basically right, and I knew it. In fact, there's even a name for this occurrence, this thing that happens whereby, basically women always want something higher than they are. And, they've got a name for it. And it showed a thing, 1955 apparently was sort of, all fairly equal. And at the current day, nah, it's right off balance. And it's not that there's no good men out there, it's just that 78% of men want 78% of women want the upper 20% of men and ain't really willing to entertain anything else. And, so yeah. Very intriguing indeed. Yeah. So anyway, it's one of these things that I'm starting to work women out now. Got it all worked out now. This is going to sound like something Elvis would say, but it's that bad that it's almost exactly whatever they say they want, they actually want the opposite. Now, I'm certain that's not necessarily true, but at a casual glance, it seems to be. It's funny, you've got this, they showed this thing where guys are there with, like this thing about how to tell if your man doesn't have any masculine toxicity, Well, he carries a tote bag that's either pro-feminism, pro-environment, or some other bullshit. And, this, that, and the other. He cries during the sad parts of Pixar movies and even during the not sad parts. Someone is in there saying, that sounds like a mental disorder. And I said, yeah, it sounds like Asperger's syndrome, actually. Whether, I've heard of someone who had Asperger's who saw a dead bird on the sidewalk and they were distraught about that dead bird as they were possibly even more about that dead bird than they were about their own grandfather's funeral. You just think, what? Yeah, well, that's why they call it a mental disorder, because it doesn't make any sense. And this is the thing, if you've got a guy who's crying during the not-so-sad parts of the Pixar movie, maybe he's just having a mental breakdown or something, I don't know. The video sort of went on to emphasise that you should really, you know, show a bit of masculinity and don't end up being one of these softy soy boys. But they got all this fucking bullshit pushing this crap. And it's fucking crap, you know? It's all designed around, well, you know, we want a man, but you know, and I've seen this concept a million times before. We want a man, but we don't want a man as he is. What we want to do is we want to get a man who's not what we're looking for and then change him to something that we're looking for. So the sole purpose is to make you change your life, your personality, and your sort of, you know, how I'll put this, principles and what you stand for and all that, you know. We're going to change all that shit. And the one thing about a man that we want is a man that we can turn into something else. What the fuck? What the fuck? How about getting a man who's got the shit that you want to begin with, as opposed to getting some man who's not what you want and then trying to torture and twist him into what you want? That's fucking bullshit. I mean, that's fucking toxicity right there. You know, but this is the thing, you know, that's what some of them are fucking into, you know, and it's really just like, what I was just saying, you know, that sounds like a fairly stupid statement, but then everything lends itself to it being true, that, you know, women are just sort of more interested in saying they want one thing but actually want something different, you know. And there's a lot of sort of little examples that you come across where they're just after the exact opposite. And it's funny how you got all these fucking magazines and shit, oh, you know, male toxicity, blah, 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 blah. You know, we're going to make our men all fucking beta fucking soy boys and all this shit, all little dribbling, ass-kissing wimps. And, you know, then they sort of turn around and you go through the comments in this video. No girls like men who fucking cry easily and are easily emotional and this, that and the other. You know, but you open up all this media and they're pushing it. But how's this for a thought? Social Engineering by George Soros, and, well, not necessarily directly by him, but all the organisations that he financially supports with his billions of dollars that he's making with all his financial things. This guy made $10 billion in one fucking day, and that was when the West German mark and the British pound, they used to have what's called the ERM, and I think this was, I don't know if there's the days of, no, Thatcher would have been out by then, but it would have been just sort of not too far post-Thatcher. It was basically during the days of the reunification of Germany, and they realised the cost of the reunification of Germany to go from two countries back into one was going to be absolutely astronomical. And they couldn't hold a set exchange rate, because that, you know, instead of having floating exchange rates that we have now, generally back in the day they had a series of ERM type things where you sort of, you know, you had a set exchange rate that was fixed, and a lot of it was all based around the US dollar being backed by gold and essentially being the world reserve currency and being the, you know, reserve of other currencies, or actual gold being the reserve of other currencies, and you know, that was still stabilised by the US government guaranteeing a set price for gold due to using it as a reserve, you know, as a precious metal for their, you know, reserve bank or basically the backing of their currency. Anyway, we're getting very complicated. That's finance for you. In one night, this guy made $10 billion. It was actually more money than he had. If he lost, he wouldn't have even been able to cover his losses. But he made $10 billion in one night. When the ERM broke because the value of the West German mark was going to be affected by the reunification of Germany. Because of the massive costs of it, it was going to have to cause some sort of inflation to the likes of which they weren't generally accustomed. Anyway, this same arsehole's going around pushing all this social engineering. He's behind the, you know, they sit there on TV claiming they only get a handful of money from a couple of frickin' French feminists and blah blah, private data bullshit. Femin. You know, the ones who get their tops off, and they had a fatter one the other day in Russia, and yeah, I wouldn't have minded if they didn't uncensor that video because they, yeah, I think they were fairly good titties. There's a glimpse there where they didn't censor it properly, and but you know, those girls that love showing their tits off, and some of them, you know, they tend, a lot of them, to be fairly pretty. They're not your standard feminist, but they always, you know, they love protesting Putin and everything else, and they go getting their fucking shirts off and start yelling and screaming and blah blah blah, and usually, well, almost guaranteed security steps in and drags them out or whatever. And you know, that's one of the ones he funds, but he funds a whole truck full of this stuff. And of course, it's just more of your, it may well not even be funded by him. It must, you know, it's most likely your leftist media that you have today, who's all part of your politically correct shitstorm, you know, and that Hollywood's in and all these ones, you know, and they're the ones pushing all this bullshit fucking, you know, beta boy crap, you know, that you should be a submissive little frickin' ant and blah blah blah, and not have any masculinity. And then of course you see videos going up on YouTube. What's wrong with today's men? They're so fucking weak, you know, one girl liking, you know, other girls, you know, why are today's men so, well, it's easy. Feminism and trying to squash masculinity, and really, probably not even feminism, probably just purely trying to squash masculinity. But of course, we know that that's part of the agenda of feminism. But the funny thing is, there's another study that's out there by feminists about what they prefer in a man, and you're not going to believe it. What they prefer in men is a man who's sexist. Holy fucking cow! You know. It's like me being, well, never mind me. It's like a Muslim marrying a woman who owns a pig farm. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, fucking bacon for breakfast, pork chops for lunch and dinner, you know? And they're a fucking Muslim, you know? It's just like, how the fuck can a feminist be more attracted to a guy who's sexist? Fucking hell. Like I said, they really, whatever they say they want 100% different. Simple as that. And that's, you know, I'm sure that's just an easy, brainless conclusion to come to. I'm sure that that's an oversimplification. But I tell you what, there's plenty of times there where it looks like it's true, you know. You know, when feminists find most attractive in men the attribute of sexism. What the fuck? So you're going for a man who's sexist because that's what turns you on, and you're a feminist. You're fighting against it. Oh, God, blimey. Like, what? What? Where are your principles these days, you know? Fighting against the same thing you fucking love. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. You know, try and crush the very thing you find attractive. But then again, there's toxicity right there, you know. It's like, you know, I love little cute puppies, so I'm going to go around smashing them over the head with a fucking axe and kill all the puppies, you know. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with these people? I'm sure women can't be that crazy. Well, at least I'm hoping, you know. You know. I know there's plenty of girls out there who are fairly common sense type girls, and among black women I find that to be often the case, you know. And yeah, but yeah, it's no different to what I'm seeing inside my own family with my cousins and all that, you know. One of them was there whinging about, oh, how it's so hard to find a man. She'd go on for fucking half an hour. At the end she goes, oh, well, actually, I've already had a boyfriend for 6 weeks. Hang on a minute. You've had a boyfriend for 6 weeks and you're bitching that it's hard to find a man. Fuck me. You know, it's like me driving home with a new van, as I did the other day, a week or two back, and then, oh, it's so hard to find a van. I can't find any vans out there. What the fuck? I got one sitting in the fucking driveway. You know? Oh, I don't know. But it's funny how, you know, you've got all this shit pushing all these beta boy stuff, you know, get rid of toxic masculinity, and you're going through the comments and there's girls there going, oh, it's so unattractive seeing a guy cry or be emotional, you know, and there's just about all the girls in the comments, it's the only thing they say, you know? And it's like, well, yeah, but then, like, your media is pushing this shit as though it's some sort of a virtue to be a fucking wimp, you know? And I'm not saying you got to be a chauvinistic arsehole, and I try not to be a chauvinistic arsehole. But see, what I'm all about is whatever the real answer is, what the truth of the matter actually is, you know, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm not trying to push an agenda, aside from the agenda of e-biggers getting a fucking job and stopping lying all the damn time. My agenda is to find out the real answer to a lot of things, you know, and oversimplification in an answer isn't necessarily the correct answer, because there's so many things where a simple answer isn't the answer. It's a little bit more complicated. And I also find there's some things where, essentially speaking, you can round up 90% of it with a simple answer. Not 100%, but 90% of it you can round up with a simple answer. And the rest of it is just a whole bunch of lame fucking excuses, you know. And there's so many things these days where the truth is shrouded over by a bunch of lame-ass excuses, you know. It's funny, this video also brought up the whole e-girl/thought thing, you know, and all these guys who pander to all these hot chicks thinking they got some sort of a relationship with her because they're being made a moderator in the side chat of these girls' live streams or whatever. And there's one idiot there, you know, that almost reminds me of e-beggars, or basically, you know, people who give money, not e-beggars as such, but people who give money to e-beggars. You know, they're just gullible idiots, basically. But you got these guys there, there's one there, a moderator. It was a little fucking exchange, like a direct messaging exchange or email exchange or something. And this friggin' guy's found out, he looked up something or other that was like a live stream fail thing. It might have been in 4chan or something like that. And the girl that had been the moderator for for 2 years and quote-unquote donated to this girl on a regular basis, she was married. That's right, she's out there showing off her titties and all that, you know, trying to, you know, make her cleavage stand out a lot, and all that sort of teasing bullshit that they do on these thoughts do on these live streams and that. And it turns out she's fucking married the whole time. Anyway, he confronted her. What's this shit? I looked at this fucking thing, and then you come up as being married. This isn't true, is it? Oh, well, I don't know. Like, you know, my personal life has nothing to do with this, and you know, my personal life doesn't really concern you, and it's got nothing to do with why I'm one of these fucking cam girls, you know? And he's like, holy shit, I've been modding for you for 2 years of being a moderator, and I've donated to you on a regular basis only to find out you're fucking married anyway. But see, here's the mistake. These stupid beta fucks thought they actually had a chance with this girl. Like, so she's got like fucking shitloads of guys in there with their tongues hanging out every night, you know, and as one of my workmates used to say, they got their tongue hanging out and their dick hanging out every night, watching these stupid bitches. And, you know, then it's like, they think they got a chance with her. Oh, well, I'm a mod and this and that, and so I'm one of her special people. Dude, she's got no morals, showing her titties at every opportunity and prancing around like a little, teasing little bitch that she is. So she's got no morals to begin with, and now you think she's gonna somehow have morals. Rightio. Okay, whatever. Whatever you want to think. And then she's got like, you know, 100 guys or whatever pervert at her, and then you think, oh, well, she's going to be with me because I'm the special one. Why? Because you've been put as a moderator? Like, this guy had been modding this girl's fucking side chat for 2 years, giving her money for 2 years, amounting to a few $1,000s, and it was almost like as though, who are you to ask if I'm married or not? It's none of your business. Don't be nosing into my business. I do what I want, blah, 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 blah. And this guy thought he was, you know, a friend or had a chance with her by being a mod. And, like, the response that this girl gave him was like, you know, like, not like he'd been a mod for 2 years, but like she'd only just met him a fucking week ago on the internet. Or 2 weeks ago. Well, not even 2 weeks ago, because I've got girls to tell me more about their life in 2 weeks than this girl was willing to discuss with someone who'd been a mod for 2 years. And it was sort of almost like the conversation, the way she was talking to him was like he'd only fucking seen her in the side chat fucking for the last week, or like seen him in the side chat for the last week. You know, and it's like, dude, they don't give a fuck, you know, they got fucking hundreds of guys, and the fact is, you know, oh, they could pick any, well, the fact is she'd already picked someone and already married them, you know. But anyway, like, it's just about them getting a bit of money from all these lame beta boys. And she doesn't care about you, even if you're a fucking mod. All she cares about is money. That's it. So she's got her own money to do what she wants with, without a husband sort of having to say, oh, well, yeah, well, I don't think you're wasting money on this and that. Actually, I'm earning my own money, you know. I'll tell you what, if I had a wife, she wouldn't be doing that sort of shit. I'd fucking put an axe through the computer in front of her. I probably would, actually. I mean, computers are cheap enough, and, you know, I can be fairly volatile when it comes to bullshit like that, you know.
I wouldn't be going with that shit. And the fact is that I'd probably never end up with a girl who was that fucking loose to begin with, because I would sense that this girl's a little bit too loose, and you know, not into these loose girls because they're just, you know, they're not trustworthy enough for me. Not when you're sitting there with all, you know, you see how divorces go these days. Fucking 50-50 my fucking ass. It's more like fucking 90-10. I've known guys who have walked out of relationships with the clothes they're wearing, $300 in their wallet, and the car they drove away, and that's all they ever got. You know. And yeah, I'm sure you all know some bad stories like that. In fact, occasionally you even come across women whose brothers have gone through bad divorces, who will tell you about how fucking, you know, ripped off he got, sort of thing. But anyway, that's my little fucking rant for this morning.